Okay, what we've got here, excuse me, what we've got here is eye goggles on for starters. Sodium hydroxide being pumped through the matrix. A couple of reasons. I want to see if there's any leaks. It doesn't look like there's any leaks because I've filled it with solution and left it standing upright and none leaked out. We've got a hot water bath there with sodium hydroxide in, and then we've got neat sodium hydroxide being circulated through the matrix itself just to try and break up any residues, and the pump does seem to be working. So that's our Super Duper Clark pump. It's used for all sorts. I think it can handle this liquid. Certainly handles oils okay. So these are great, these. Get one, Clark pump. Seems to have done me well so far. I wouldn't suggest heavy use for it. Again, non-commercial use, just home use is going to be all right for that pump. One thing to note when you're messing with any kind of alkali or acidic solutions, you've got to wear goggles because this could splash, and this stuff, if it gets in your eyes, you're in a lot of trouble. So big safety warning there. Be very wary what you're doing when it comes to any acidic or strong alkali solution, because you can get burns, and I'm being very cautious. In fact, even with the goggles on, I'm not going directly above it. One of these pipes could just whip out, and indeed even this carries a slight risk because I've not got full face coverage. This pipe could whip out and spray my skin, so this is a little bit risky. And whilst the bucket is diluted, we are dealing now with neat solution, or at least the percentage which the fluid originates from the bottle, which is it's not giving me the percentage on there. It should do. I don't know. Certainly there's going to be strong stuff, so careful. And this is for the heater matrix, just to save 75 quid. It looked alright. There's no point having it in stock. If it's no good, it may as well be recalled or discarded, so we need to establish that. Let's leave that running for a while. Blanket going over, polythene bag goes over in case anything kicks back. Leave this. These aren't designed for continuous running, so we'll give that 10 minutes, okay? And we'll get back to it. Let's go.
Right, we're rolling.
Yeah, with the caustic soda going, and Chris is here on the camera, everybody.
Hello.
Always helps to have a cameraman. Crazy Chris, fan of Pluto. So, yeah, we're cooking nice in here. And Chris also pointed out the dangers of this bad boy. Quickest cure for a hangover.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you have got to be really careful. It is diluted, but yes, he's right. So careful. So careful, but it looks like it's a de-rust as well, Chris, because that's all coming up copper. Can you see the copper?
Yeah, I can see copper colour.
And it's taking off a lot of the rust. I didn't expect it to be. I mean, I've got the de-ruster ready, but it might not need it. So that goes in. We have to be careful with that. So just cover it up and slide it to one side. And now we multitask, because men are really good at that. Don't you be told any other way. We've got Pappa's linkage. I think the focal length of the camera is about there, Chris, so anything here will always focus. As soon as I get it back there, it stops. So we remember that when we film. I've just learned that. This looks a bit, this is like a fibre washer. This is a steering column link. Whilst we're doing it, we've got to replace the steering rack. Steering rack's gone, it's knackered. I'm going to have to send the steering rack away. It's £120 to get it refurbed. So I've got to send the steering rack off. I've no facilities to build that. Whilst I'm doing the steering rack, I'm having a look at this steering link. You've got this vibration washer. Seems to be like a fibrous material. There isn't actually any play in it. I have seen somewhere that they're all sloppy. This is actually not bad, but I just don't like the look of it. I think it looks a bit crushed up. Although a lot of them do look that way. When I've took it off, it isn't as bad as what it looked like in the car, but I had the kit anyway. 14 quid off eBay for these new kits. So it looks like you've got to drill the rivets out. I think that's the only way you could do it. So I'm going to angle grind them off, and then they give you a nut and bolt kit to go on. So I think it'll look better with that, and just more professional, especially when we're just trying to keep the car mega safe. And there are different types of these, but this is the most common one. So really what I'm going to have to do is going to have to grind the heads off and then knock the pins out. So I'll do that now. Just get my torch, because it's all, there we go, it's a bit better to see. Just looking what I've got. Two smaller type rivets, and definitely nothing's unscrewing there. That's definitely all connected together. That some evidence of yellow paint on there. I've seen that on the cars before. See that yellow stripe? That's original, some kind of original factory thing, that yellow paint. I've seen it on the steering components before. I've had a lot of original stuff on the car, and a lot of the nuts and bolts of them done as well. Oh, before I forget, back to caustic soda. I've got the calipers in now as well. Look, they came off easy as well. Brake pads on the way out. You can see the pistons are exposed there on these calipers because the rubbers have gone. So the rubbers suffered on the car, but the metal hasn't, which I'd rather that way. So these are dipping in. They're M16 calipers. Obviously he's been doing brake pads on it. You can see their new brake pads, or the kit. So they're going the caustic. Just to loosen them up, we're going to be having to put compressed air in these to free the pistons out, so I can fit the rebuild kit that I've got. So keep that cooking in our little cookery pot. Let's see if this comes off. I'll put my ear defenders on and give it a go. If you get that. Watch out for fallout, Chris. Going your way, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll come round the other side.
Push it in the middle to reduce the width.
Go on, Pete, you had your Weetabix for breakfast.
Yeah, I got it now. We're on our way there. That one's starting to go. That one's on its way through, so like that. I think that'll need some help in the vise. I don't think it'll tap. I could try and tap it. I don't think it will.
No grip.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh no, you got it.
Tapped it. That's that bit. They don't leave you much, do they? How are we going to get the... I tell you what, I don't know how you're going to get the thickness of that through there. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Unless you have to do that in the vise, you know.
Whoa, let's squash them.
To try and get more of the thread showing. Yeah.
Squash them in the vise. Get more that's thread. The coupling done. I wouldn't say they're the prettiest of solutions. But it all goes together, and you've got your safety butterfly there, and then the collar in the donut, and the rubber donut comes up between the safety, so if the rubber snapped, it's still got the safety feature on. I don't like these locking tabs. I think they look ugly, to be fair, but it does repair a bus linkage, and it would be, you know, a solid linkage. You'd have no play in the steering wheel. You can lose a bit of play on those when they go too soft. You're turning your wheel and nothing's happening. You don't get quite precise steering, so it is good to have them nice and solid. Once they do go lazy, you can feel it. Even if you've got a new rack and you think it's your steering rack that's got play, it can be in that coupling there because it's gone lazy. So that's in. Slots at the back. There's no point fitting it because we're taking the rack out because the rack's gone.
The rack's whack.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not the prettiest of things, but it's safe.
It does the job, doesn't it?
It does the job. Hidden by the engine. It's a repair gets you out of jail if you can't find a new old stock one.
It's not bad because Pappa's like not a perfect car, so.
Oh, I mean, it's, you know.
You know, I think it's fine for.
It does its
for
job.
this car, yeah.
It's your steering linkage. And I must admit, I say the only thing I don't like is them locking tabs. I think
They're a bit untidy, aren't they?
Ugly, yeah. But what can you do? That's it. Right, we're done with that. We shall move on. Get Chris's computer, I think, next.
Yeah.
Let's find it. I think it's in the back. Okay, I'm just going to put some rust converter on using the air gun. There's a name for this gun. A proper name for it, but I don't know what it is. Spray liberally. Plenty in. Flood the cowlings, plenty on. So rust converter dinitrol going on with the gun. A little bit of water just to thin it out. That's okay to do. What I'll do, we're running out of our super duper dinitrol converter. This is good stuff. Glue, strong stuff. Not glue really. That's the Blues Brothers. When he glues the accelerator pedal on the good old boy. We're the good old boys. We're the good old boys. You're the good old boys. You're the good old boys. Yeah, this goes on to make a nice mix. And this air gun, you can use them for decorating if you want. So we spray that on these cleaned up areas. Wheels off at the back here. It just gives a good finish. And it's a quick way out of jail to stop the rust under there. I'll show you what I mean. Well, you'll see the finish. It's just a quick way of getting the car looking tidy, and it makes it easy to work on. There's no more rust. I've jet washed everything off, and it just makes it look something better. We're not painting under there just yet. We're just basically just dropping all the rust back. Let me get spraying. I'll be right back. Okay, in this box is the 1600 crossflow boxed up. We don't know what we're going to do with it yet. We've got option B imminently arriving at Cortina City, a 600 Pinto engine, which could be our intermediate engine while this gets fixed. It gets Pappa on the road. I know it's a big job swapping out an engine, putting one in, but it may stay in, the 600 overhead cam. The engine itself might be knackered. It's come in cheap at 50 quid, keeping to that budget. So we've got a 50 quid 1600 short block overhead cam engine. Arguably it's what the car would have had, but maybe not. Anyway, we'll wait for it to arrive. We're going to unload it out the back of an estate car. Going to back in here. Engine crane in the back is a pretty heavy lump, although I do know people who can lift an entire Pinto. Not me, I'm afraid. Straight onto the engine stand. We'll see if we can do it. I believe it to be seized, but only because it's been stood with a head off. Could be bad, folks. Don't know till you try. Let's wait and see what we find. Catch you in 2 secs. Engine crane needs to be ready. We've got to crane it out the back of the car. I don't want to be doing any lifting. Come on, overhead cam. You're on the way. I'm between jobs again, and look at these anti-roll bar bushes on Pappa. Absolutely shot. Just look at this rear end wiggle. Have a look in here. I'll show you the front end wiggle. There's the There's the little fella. Well, two of them, but look at all that movement. Wow. We got ourselves a knocker. Done one side, a nice new one on. Here. Little saddle clamp. So we've got a nice replacement bush there that we had luckily in stock. A little bit of WD to keep the wolf from the door. And we go over with a clenched jaw of the Teng tools to just grip it, and our little impact should be sufficient. It certainly did that side. Under I go to swap this, between jobs waiting for that engine to come in, making use of the time. Anti-roll bar. I'm going to need those upper link, the roll bar link as well. That looks dodgy too, so I'll have to order those. I haven't got any. Let's get these on. Save some money. These are in stock. An advantage of the compact impact driver is we can just nip in here to sneak in. It fits on that 13. Whether it's got the power to do it, we shall have to see. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It would have gone probably straight away if I didn't have the setting on the opposite turn, but I wouldn't have done it any harm. So we get that out, take the saddle off and remove the offending article. Boom, where you go. Right, let's look at this shot bush. Oof. Ooh. Hell yeah, that's gone. Right, new one on. Scrub UD. Should really take my watch off for this kind of a deal. And they always look too wide when they go on, but they squash up. As far as I know, there's only ever one size of front roll bar. I know the back roll bars were different. Right, so I've got to line this up now, put the saddle back in, then I just use these to sort of bring it up into enough position where you can feed enough bolt through and start on the threads. Very important to make sure your threads go in square. Easy to get cross threads in this situation. Leave this with me. You'll be right back with the impact gun. Okay, so that bolt is just in. I used the grips just to squeeze that up like that. It was enough for me to get a start on the threads, and I know they're all right because that's gone in. That's gone in good. So I can put this on it and tighten it up. And that is now wobble free, both sides. Using my hands to get a gauge of where the lens is looking, because we are on a very small screen, and that is that. And they close up there, see? So they do at first appearance look too small, but they're not. If it was a larger hole, that wouldn't grip, so it has to really squash that nicely down, like so. And then, as I said, these uprights, these stabiliser bars, those donut washers look a bit tired too. Well, you do get movement in them, that's normal, but they don't look the best. So we'll order a new linkage bar for that. It's nicely greased up or lubricated up, as you know, from day one when we did this job. That's why all the bolts are coming out good. 2 reasons: it's a pretty rust-free vehicle, and we've gone round lubricating stuff. The rust killer leaves this kind of a finish, if you can see. It just kind of like smooths it out. So you can see what you're working with. Once you wash down and then you spray that on, it sort of converts the rust. I missed a bit on the wheel disc, but we don't worry about the wheel disc for obvious reasons. So can you see down there? It's just cleaning it up. You can see what you're working with. It's just cleaner to work on. So we're looking good there. Right, I've had word. The engine is imminent. Engine is arriving. The knackered old 1600 overhead cam lump. More burdens for us to carry. Another beast of burden is on its way. So we just keep chiseling away at the jobs. I've got a fuel pipe run. If we're going to do overhead cam, we've got to go longer on this fuel pipe. It needs to come across and down that way because the fuel pump is on the opposite side. We'll keep that if we go back to overhead valve. Indeed, if we're not doing overhead valve, it's still all up in the air. But you can see the solidness while we're here. Look, the jacking points still extend. Inner sill's on its way out, but we've got a little repair piece to go in there. We're going to sandwich it behind that original jacking point. I'm going to clean the crud out of that jacking point. It's caked in. The jacking point survived, look. There you are for jacking point. Right, engine on its way. I'm getting ready to receive the lump. It's even solid in here. I can see where it's had its crash. If you look where that cable is, that's the indicator wire. Going vertically is the headlamp sort of surround bolt and the inner wing meeting the headlamp surround and grille. It's wavy. It's been bashed back straight. That's where it's had a front end light, only very light, but it's had definitely had a bash there, and that's why this wing was put on. And the wing you can see shot through, and it was never painted, the wing. That's why it's rotted, or if it was, it wasn't prepared properly. That's why it's crumbled away, and the rest of the car that has got some form of protection has survived. You can see that lower valance. Again, they normally rot away. It's on its way out. Whether it's perforated through, I actually don't think it has. There's a bit of life in that left yet before we have to swap that out. But even if we did have to swap that out, you've got a great surface to attach it to because the inner piece hasn't gone. So we're in good shape there. And that just shows you the overall state of play here. Pretty good, pretty easy for us to do localised welding repairs on this car. Again, that'll fit in with the idea that we're just going to rat lock it and get it on nice, solid and safe. I think the word is on this car, nice, solid and safe. Let's take delivery of the engine, folks. Come on, engine crane ready then. Hey, I've got some deep dish all sports as well. Deep dish, not Mexico, Ford Escort Mark II. 5Js. Mexico's are 5.5Js. Those are 5Js. Bramble's got them on. Look, got these 20 quid a piece. There you go. They look better. They look better than the shallower dartboard or all sport wheels. Anyway, I've got to stop talking because I've got to open the gates. We've got an engine coming in. Oh, lovely lump. Smells of diesel in here. Wow. They wrapped it all and everything. Cool. Okay, old cargo straps. Look on the old Mondeo. Right, let's get it in. Let's go. How much?
350.
350. English. Her Majesty's English pounds. Right, okay. Well, we can either go. It's easier going down than up. Okay, let's have a try. Right. Let's get the flywheel off so we can bolt the powerhouse. Oh! Pick you up later. Whoa, there isn't it? Sounds good. Very fine threads on there. Right, that's them. Now it could be seized on this. No. It's off. There's a sideways wiggle. Right, that's that. It's a good sign it's not all fused to there. Right, so we need this. Setting up for this. Like so. That through that one. And then the rest of the bolts are knocking about somewhere. That one through that one. And then these ones simply on there. And then lift the lump up onto the stand. Already there, just setting up some bolts. Right, I'll see you in a sec. Okay, we look a bit sludgy, so we've got a bit of degreaser on. Our friendly pump again. I'm just torching it. We're just gonna try and clean up the worst of it, but you can see I just want it so when I take it apart it's not as bad and sludge coming out. There's a lot of sludge in here. So do it yourself parts cleaner. So let's have a look at these cylinders. That's not water, by the way, it's diesel. I don't know. Piston tops look alright. There's no wear on that. Can't feel any wear on the bores. Someone's painted it. Someone's put core plugs in it. Someone's been messing. That's been stripped, ready for paint. So someone's been playing with this, but we just need to get it a bit cleaner. So when I take the sump off, it's not all sludge. I'm not saying this is going to get rid of it all, but I'll get rid of some of it. That's been going round a while, breaking down the glue, and now with that, probably just dump it out and see what we get. It's going to be that's broke it all down. Of course, I can pull a sump plug as well, but it's just easier this way. Pull the sump plug as well now. Some nice loop there. Oh, look at that. Ooh. That is sludgy. Whoa. I don't think this can cope with that. That's bad. There's some proper sludge in the bottom of that. I don't think this is the right thing to use. No. It'll clog this. Whoa! There's matter coming out. Oh no! Oh, matter. So it's been circulating round, but the pickup point of the pump wouldn't have been. This will have collected in like the corner or something. If I do a slight turn on the engine, I can put the handle in this and get it so it runs to that. There might be a little bit of turn left, no there's not. I'll pull the pin. So, whoa, not that much. Semolina, look at that, folks. It's like a dirty nappy, isn't it? Oof. When the kids had the runs when you're doing the nappies, right? Oh.
Punami.
Oof. That's like... It's not nice, is it? So the pump's obviously just picked up a certain area of it, and where the pipe would have been laying, and then the sludge has all landed to one side. So let's let me top it up, see if it'll flush it out. Probably just try and push that out now. Most unpleasant. Too much for the pump to cope with that. It's not a solid pump. Oh man, that's rough. This has had water in this. We can't win, can we? Let's go again. Incoming. Oh! Are we there? No. Still Panami. Lovely stuff. Yeah, so I can't quite vac it out, but a lot of it, at least it's at the bottom. The only thing you see, the reason I want to get it out is if I flip it upside down, pull the sump off, all that will just dump on the pistons. I'm just trying to get it so everything's at the bottom. Tsunami. I reckon I'll run it again. Right, have another attack.
You know, orange now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's going to give it another spin. That's just, I mean, the whole purpose is just to make my life easier when I come to strip it, so I'm not having as much contamination in the workshop. I think pro builders allow a tank or something for all this to take place in, and they probably wouldn't accept an engine with all gunk. You'd have to clean it yourself. At least it hasn't blown the pump up. I want to circulate that back into the oil well. Just run that again. I'll tilt it this time. I'll go fishing now. Let's see what she reveals. Wasn't much dripping. We did get most of the oil out. And no sludge is coming out anymore. Don't forget, this is just if it's okay and just slightly worn, we're going to use it. If it's workable, we don't know yet. No way, no. See what it's, if the crank's rusted, I don't know. bit of sludge under this bit that I didn't clean, but it doesn't matter. A little bit of a tap and it should just go. To reveal the condition of the crank and the rest of the pistons, you should be able to see if they've rusted, corroded, rather, because they're aluminium, aren't they, pistons? Will it be more rust, or was it just exposed on the top bit? Oh, to go. That's gone. Tap it, and then I think that's all the bolt. Ready? Suppose there's sludge, we got a lot of it out. At least it's not pouring all over the place. Oof, gonna pick up. Microphone pickup, yeah. So let's get the torch on there and see what we've got. In we are. What have we got? It's not rusted. Set the directional light. No. It's not. I think the sludge has saved it. There's some of that stuff's backed onto the pistons. Can't really tell now till we start trying to free it up. What we need to do is just dissolve that rust in them cylinders with a rust killer overnight, and then take it from there. What I'm going to do is just let them cylinders, flip it back round, pour rust X in it, and let it just clean up and get them cylinders clean. Then I'll just try and tap the crank, tap it there, block of wood, knock the crank, might free it up. Okay, I'll be right back, folks. Sludgy, but that's not necessarily been pumping through the car. This could have just been the fact that this got half rebuilt and put outside, because it's signs of someone trying to make an effort to build this. So you wonder. That's why I wanted to get it and take a punt on this. Okay, over and out for now. 1600 Pinto, Project Pappa. Great caution is needed when you do this technique with warm or very hot oil. That is, face covering on please in case it splashes, and sleeves down, preferably non-flammable material. That oil is hot, the block is warm. So once it's cooled down, we'll vac that oil back out and see if we can start getting the engine free. It is seized. You'll notice the bores are a lot cleaner than they were yesterday. A day has passed. That's the I've been using this stuff. It's called Rust 7, X Rust 7, and I've also been using Evapo Rust. Flywheel is in the X Rust 7. Calipers also in it, so it's a bit of a cooking session. Cookery on. Ainsley Harriott would be proud. Gordon Ramsay would be swearing. Bit of word mix up there. Yes, some nice golden syrup there for you. Whether it's going to do it, I don't know, but this engine's in a lot better condition, don't worry. It's cooler this side. It's got a lip on it. Warm the block. There's a lip. I have to ask Richard's opinion on this block. You may be wondering why we're wasting time on old knackered engines. It's because it's a different tactic this time at Cortina City. It's budget time, cost cutting time, Okie dokie. That is why this engine is either to be discarded or not. But I think it'll be okay. I think we'll get it going. Either way, it'll be a clean block for somebody to use. I'll pass it back on for 50 quid if I don't get anywhere. And we'll go to the third engine option. That's if we don't get Pappa's engine built. But let's keep trying with this. Well, you can see the block's cooking nicely. We've got the chips ready to go in. Frying tonight. It's not as hot as you would expect. Getting sort of 65 to 70 degrees, so that would be just over half on your temperature gauge on your, if you're running your engine. So I'm not going to break the block or anything like this, in case anyone's wondering. It's just gently heated the block up. I've also put the hot air gun into the jacket as well, and that puts air around the jacket, so the whole block's just come up to temp. So the hope is that it'll just shock something loose, the rings, maybe just break the rings with the expansion on it. I'll let it gently cool down now. We'll come back to it in an hour. It's a technique, doesn't always work. It worked on that Kent engine there, on that stuck piston, so it's yeah, it's worth a try. We've also, as I said, I've had the rust converter, not rust converter, but the rust remover in the walls, the pistons, overnight, in cylinders rather. Cylinders is what I meant, and you can see they're now a lot better than they were. It'll need cross-hatching honing, but Richard's going to give me his opinion because he's built a few of these. I've never done it, as you know. I'm just learning, but we'll just see what Richard says, and we will put butter in it. That might help as well. See you in a minute. Steering rack's got to come off because it's absolutely shot. Some 19s now for some fun over the top. Correction, 17. Nice little tool, nice and compact. A Sealy 12-volt impact wrench, 3/8. Very nice, very nice. Let's get these locking tabs. Again, testament to the Bulldog and the Furtan. This should give us exactly what we want, which it does. Got the saddles to come off, feed through. Saddle, anybody? No, we'll get it off outside of the car. Goodbye, rack. That's going to be sent away. Let's manoeuvre that out and get it washed down and packaged up. We'll take the track rod ends off it, send it without them. I'm throwing them away anyway. Got new ones, but I don't want to send it in the post with the track rods on. Could do. I'll make his life easier. Feed it out then and wash it down. Steering rack to send away. Pappa. Right, I'm going to give this steering rack a degrease, as I said, to make it packaging and sending away less messy. I don't know if we can repair it. It is possible. We could have a look. If we want to save some cash, should we have a look to see if you can get the part? I don't know. I don't know if you can get the part for this. I'll have to see what's making it wobble. I am intrigued. So cleaning it should be good to assist with that. And can we rebuild it? I mean, I don't know. Depends on those. See, they're not the best. Quite loose, and that could cause problems. So maybe it's these you need. And something moves. I don't know which end moves. I think it's this end. Wobbles about. Anyway, let's wash it down. Lock and load. Permission to blast granted. Okay, I've got the Ford manual here, and the fault I've got on this rack is that there's a bush missing, a plastic bush missing from the end. That's why it's wobbling. These arms here probably all right. It looks like they've been replaced, to be fair. To me, someone's been on that, and they're staying straight, so they're not flopping down. So I think they're all right. So we might be able to save it by just getting a bush. Now I have got another rack. It's a left-hand drive rack, but that bush could work to save us cash again. If it's worn, I won't use it, but that might be a good one. We don't know. That's if it's got it on. It should have. So that bush there missing then. Other than that, they don't really give you much info on servicing it, except the ball ends here. This actual assembly, they're only suggesting putting oil in it. They're suggesting putting in well, they're mentioning what oil it is. I don't know. We always use Molly type oil. Oh, EP90. No grease is mentioned. I was sure you put grease in these, especially on the rack section. In fact, the other steering rack that I've just gone and had a quick look at. Let's go over and have a look at it. I'll keep you on. Let me get a torch. That's got grease in it. I thought that the rack and pinion had grease. I didn't think it had oil in it. I was sure it was grease. I see something called Molly slip grease. I'm sure, unless that was just on power steering, folks. I'm not sure. I don't keep using that word. By the way, cleaning up work's been going on under here too. I've sanded down and cleaned all the suspension. Look, that took blooming ages. Right, over here in the deeper stores is the rack, and at the end is going to be the bush, but I can't see if it's in there. We're going to have to get a screwdriver and pull that rubber back. These boots are in good order. I could nick a lot of bits off this. Let me scribble in. Whoa. Let's have a see. Here we are. Well, I ain't got a locking tab in it. Is that it there? It doesn't look like there's one in here either. There must be. See, you can see the grease in this. Look. Can you see the grease there? That's what I was sure you used. I'm sure you just packed that full. Richard said these boots are dry. I understand what you mean, because if not, it'd all squidge out, I suppose. When they collapse, it'd be squirting all over the place. But I'm sure there's an element of lubrication in it. It has to be. Let's stick the torch on its magnet and have a little look. Can we see the plastic bushing in there? I think it is, because this ain't wobbling. This one's in good order. Look, the one on Pappa was rusted all up. you see what's happened is that boot's compromised because all the rubbers on Pappa have gone. Anything to do with rubber on that car is gone. And what's happened is it's allowed this to go dry, and it's probably destroyed the bearing. Now, because this is so well greased, I'm thinking this has got a good chance. So really what we need to do is pull this rack out. I think that's what we're going to have to do here. Which means splitting some more ball joints and getting it out of the car. A little bit tricky in the position that it's in, but it can be done. I think you better just leave me to this now and let me get these out. And I'll have to knock those securing tabs over and get the 17 on there. These might not come out as easy, these bolts, because I've not applied any lube on this. You can see it's beginning to rust up here. What this needs is disassembling and stashing because it's getting damaged outside. This is a good suspension clip, and really it doesn't warrant being out here like this. This has got very, very low rust on it because it was Portugal. So it's sacrilege that this is outside. This needs stripping. Me and Rich are going to get on this and rip this apart and stash it. It's too good to have out here. So I'm going to break this down. Okay, let me get the steering rack off. I can do it. I won't film it. I'll split the ball joints, undo them bolts and get the hell out of here. See you in a sec, PC. Right, well I've ended up stripping the entire assembly, steering assembly. Got the other one off the Portuguese car, and I've got the bush extracted off that. Indeed, it was missing from this end, but to get the bush off the Portuguese car, you have to unscrew the tie rod, and that has a pin locking the lock nuts to the tie rods. I think it's a safety feature, it's got to be. So you have to drill the pin so that you can turn that washer off the threaded end here. This is the threaded end. That's where the end of the track rod is. So that gets you the rod off, which meant I could then extract the bush out of the tube, withdraw the entire rack out of the tube so that you could get the bush out. It's held in with little prong clips there, and you've got to just squeeze and pull, and they also hammer the end of the tube down to lock it in even more. But I got the bush out. The Portuguese system is full of grease, as I expected or suspected. These are packed with grease, which makes sense to me. I don't know why it says oil. I cannot make any sense of that. The Pappa's one is a bit rusty because it's obviously allowed moisture in, so I've just wire wooled it and put some deruster on and smoothed that up. It should be okay. The teeth face are alright. The pinion wheel, or the pinion, the worm drive, is a little bit pitted, so it's not going to be perfect. This, it's not going to be like a new old stock one, but with the grease in there, it should bed in. I've cleaned everything up. That bearing was bad, it was really rusty, but it's okay, it's free now. So I've cleaned everything down, so I'm ready to put everything back together. So there isn't much to rebuilding a steering rack, I've got to say. It says in the book about shims and stuff. I'll explain what those are based on my findings. There's this nylon piece which the rack slips over, and it's spring loaded, and it's held in at the top here, so it goes in like this, look, and that pushes down on the rack, and that creates the play between the pinion and the rack, so it stops it having play. So by altering the shims, you're pushing down on this spring more. The more shims you have, the less you'd push on that spring. So this is spring loaded. I think it was actually seized in position. I think it was jammed up because I didn't feel much resistance when I withdrew the rack itself. So all of this was all rusty. It's not the best really. I'd be better with just a brand new one, but it's all there and complete. There's a bearing in the end as well, my finger just going in it there. That's now freed up. The Fortan then, Furtan has helped us with this because it dissolves the rust on contact, which has cleaned that bearing up. You can just see it in there. that's the end of the pinion nose. So yeah, the pinion nose goes in like this. I'll show you. The bearing and the pinion goes in like that, and it fits in that nose. So you get that. So you should have a rotation on that. It's a bit grindy. It would normally be smoother than that. But at what speed do you turn your steering wheel? I mean, you know, you're going to be turning it like that. If it was a wheel in motion, I think this would be a problem. You'd have noise. But because it is just going to be this, I really don't think you're going to notice. If we have to, we get a whole new rack. But this had been damaged by simply rust, and that cap and the boots being broke have let all the moisture in, and it's not packed enough with grease, so nothing survived. If you look at the condition of the Portuguese pinion, it's a lot better than this. Can't use the Portuguese parts because the left-hand drive, even the pinion orientation's different. You know, it's left-handed and right-handed, so even the pinion changes, even the rack and pinion changes. So we're going to have to live with what we've got. I'm hoping once the grease is in there, it'll quieten it down. So yeah, just keep spinning them in and cleaning them with that. It's bedded in okay. So in it goes, all the way in. And that's what we're going to get. We're not jammed up, but it should be a lot smoother than that. Really. But all the ball bearings are going. They can only get better. So yeah, we can pop that back out. So that's how that works. I can reassemble everything now and put the packing piece on as we found it with the shim that we had on there, and then just feel it. And if it needs a different shim, I don't know where you'd get those from, because they are this shape here. Well, I say that shape, the same. The shim goes on there, the plate goes down and squeezes this, which forces the pinion angle, or the pinion sort of tension, if you will. So we'll be tapping that in then and putting the cover on. I'll pack it as I found it. Okay. So the hardest job, I suppose, with it is drilling the hole for the relocking this. You can see how they do it. Look, there's one there. There's a pin in that holding that together. That's how they do it. These track arms, you control the tension on those by this spring that's in the palm of my hand, and the little cup. Has a cup here and a ball and socket joint. If we pull this back, you'll just see the ball coming out, a nylon ball, and that spring goes on there, and there's a cup at the end of the rod here. I'll spin this one round, which it fits into. And creates the tension that you get here like this. Now the manual shows you pulling on a sort of baggage weight, you know, like one of them things you use to weigh your baggage before your holidays, a little spring. There's be a name for this tool, but I'm going to go off what I felt, and that was that they're able to hold themselves still like that. So I'm going to set it like that. So I'm going to put it all back together, and we can only see. If not, we'll send it all away, and whoever takes it apart won't have as much mess. Reassembly time of the steering rack then. We're going to pack it with grease, by the way. I'm not going off this oil business. I don't trust it. I don't think it's right. It's just going to dribble out. There's nowhere for it to go. It's crazy. Richard, I'm going to have to pull Richard because he promised me these boots were dry. They're not. They've got grease in them. They're not dry, Rich. I'm going to ring you tonight and talk to you about this. Hey, okay. I'm trusting my instincts. I'm packing it full of grease. Now then, how's the best way of getting the grease in there without making a mess? Need to scallop that out. Don't think the gun will suck it up. I wonder if I can load the gun. Yeah, I wonder if I can load this If I undo the top off that, would that work? Don't know. I'll give it a shot. Might do. I decided this might not be a good idea, so I've whacked it full by hand, and we're crammed. Yum 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 yum. Right, it's time now to put. See how it's splodged around that side as well. It's time to put this on. So that goes in like this. We have to tap that in lightly, spray-liberally. Tap that in. That creates some pressure. I think your shims are now here. Look at those shims. You can have different size shims, and that affects the preloading on this. So these are the shims that came with it, so they're the shims that are going in. So that's got to wiggle its way down. Hang on, it does help if I film it, doesn't it? We wiggle our way down there, and eventually we will hit the target, the other bearing. Swapping hands. Just got to find. There you go. That'll now start to. Oh, it's hydraulicing. Hey, we didn't plan on the hydraulicing situation. I wonder if anyone spotted the fact that it'll hydraulic. It's like getting out a spigot bearing, isn't it? Yeah, that'll be fun. Mr. Hydraulic in there. We'll have to just try and persuade it. Could this be my mistake? I don't think so. You wouldn't have thought it, would you? Because we had it then. The hydraulicing is the grease compacting into this hole and not being compressible and then popping itself out like a spring. So we may have to just whisk it about and have a little dig. I don't know. I can get it out if I have to. It's going to be two hands again, reassembling then, and you'll see grease will start to come out that end. Ergo, the boots do have an element of grease in them because it emanates from this. Perhaps that end doesn't get it the same. Maybe I'm going to agree with Richard up that end of town. I don't know. Right, that's that cover on. We'll now start to operate. And that's the play that we're talking about. Can you hear that? So there's your steering play. And that's exactly what they mean. Now it could be because, it probably is, because it's not got this on it yet. So we'll see that when we load this up, if that gets rid of that play in the rack there. So that's how it works. That's your play in the rack. We're going to tap this in now and finish that off. Okay, I've tapped that in. Snip it up. That's all that area back together. Now the play's gone now. So we need the steering bar just to get a bit of leverage on that and just see. It'll probably be quite tight because it's packed full of grease. And then all we've got to do then to finish this job is get this nut and this track end here and assemble that. Okay, this is the Portuguese left-hand drive. We won't be needing that. We'll store that for somebody. But we need to get this and this on here. That little spring on the end. So now we'll screw that together. And then all we've got to do is set the tension by tightening up. We'll need to be in the vise to do that, and then drill a new pin and lock it with a new pin. You have to re-drill a new pin each time because it'll never line up with that original pinhole. So that should be it, then we're done. I'm just going to assemble this little bit and then that's the steering rack. We'll clean it down and paint it. Okay, so with the rack in the vise, you can grip it just there. That's okay to grip the tube there. And then we screw that track end on, and then we've got the jaw grips on it, and just by turning this you can alter the tension as the book says with the weight. So you'd use a spring weight here. I'm going to do it by hand. If I tighten that up now, it goes really stiff. So there is a sort of sweet spot where it's no play, and it's about the same as this side. Now this side's untouched, so that one holds up in the air like that. I can push down, but it'll always stay in the middle. So I want to feel roughly about the same amount of force. That's about the same, and then it stays in the middle. Maybe off just a touch. I'm getting it so there's a nice even feel all the way round the ball. I'm saying about there. That feels right to me. When you get play in the rack, usually there's not, in the pinion and the worm gear, I can't see that ever wearing out. So I would say that it would be a question, I mean, well, it must wear out so you wouldn't eventually get play in the rack. But you might be that these balls wear and you could get new ones or just retension those. But I can't see much wearing in this. If the rack did wear out, you could remove a shim and pack it back in, you know. So I don't think that's a shimmable item. I think all the shims are just done on this. I think that piece is just spring loaded and just creates the force to make the teeth hit the rack the amount that these shims allow. Anyway, we're up there. Now what we have to do is lock this nut up against that, so we have to get another set of pliers and twist them together. And once we're done now, we have to drill and pop a pin into it. I'm going to use the end of a drill bit because I haven't got a pin, and I'm going to go 1 mil under or 1.5 under, and then cut the end of a drill bit off and use that as the pin. Okay, because you can't drill straight through this. They only want you to go so that that touches that. I don't think, I mean, you would think that they want you to go into this. Let me just check that the pin doesn't go halfway in. They don't want you to go all the way through because they don't want to weaken, because it's steering, it's critical. So they must have a level where they want you to do it. You know, I would imagine the pin must penetrate this a little bit, because if it was just these two together, they could unwind as a pair. So surely you need it to be locking into this area. So we have to drill in a little bit, I would have thought. Although, did I see evidence of that on the other rack? Do we see evidence of... We do. We see a drill hole here. Yes, we do. Quite pronounced. In fact, because that's slightly hollow there, yeah, so you do go into the thread, which makes sense, but you just don't go all the way through. Right, well, that'll require a little bit of TLC to get it right. So let's get on and do that. But now we're good at that end. I've closed these little nibs up here, the bushings in that we've pinched off the other car, because obviously it's gone missing. I think they never fitted it because it can't get out. It can't get out because it hits... Sorry, I was off camera then. It can't get out because it hits this track rod end. The only way you could get that out. I mean, you know, also the tabs have been bent up on this Pappa, as though they've been digging around in there. You can see the pitting as well where this is exposed. I don't think that really matters. I mean, yes, if it was raised, it wouldn't go through the bush, it would be dragging, but because it's recessed, it doesn't affect the movement through the bush there. And I put grease up this end as well. So, contrary to your claims, folks, we've gone grease. Here, we can't really get any in. I don't think they're supposed to anyway. I agree that probably this end isn't, and it would be dry. So, at what point does the boot... See, the boot goes on there. So, it's inevitable that grease is going to track into the boot. If the boot gripped here, I could imagine it being dry. But because the boot goes on there, and we've got new boots, by the way, as you turn this, do you want me to turn it now? I've got a steering linkage. I always like to oblige, because we've not tried it yet. Well, yes, it's working. I was going to say, will it work? And yes, it does. It obviously tracks the grease out. Globules of it. And there's no play in our rack. That feels really good. Actually, that feels nice. I think, folks, we just saved ourselves £120 because that's what I was going to pay for sending this off. I'm not saying 120 is a lot of money. I think it's good value to get your rack reconditioned. But do you know what? I'm surprised they're not that complicated. Whether you can get them ball socket joints, I don't know. Serviceable parts in here, there's that nylon cup, but I can't see that wearing out. I think the biggest thing that goes wrong is, other than your track rod ends themselves that screw onto these threads here, I think the only thing that goes wrong is these lose tolerance and you can drill and nip them back up. Yes, it can get rusty in there if this seal goes. This seal is a likely candidate. Now this one's pinched off Portuguese because it's intact. But British Guiana seal had gone, so water could get in there, and it is in a high water area too there. So that would allow water straight into the system. Obviously, with this being packed with grease now, even if that fails, it's not going to really do much in there. It's going to be stuck. You could argue it could fill with water, perhaps it's possible, but I don't think it's going to get very far on this at all. So there we go, that's where we're at. I don't think there's much else to do except fit the boots, drill the pin, clean it up and paint it, but it feels nice. It doesn't have play in it. It's got a good action now. I'm happy with that. I think that's gonna do us proud. It'll bed in a bit better as well as we use it. So yeah, a repaired steering rack. I'm quite pleased because it's a bit of messing about packing it and sending it away when we've got one. I can see that if that ball joint was to go, then you'd get an MOT fail. They'd say there's play in the end of the steering rack as you wobbled that, but that's fine. One little slight nip up and you're good to go. We've got to tighten these together now, by the way, and lock them in. So another pair of locking pliers now. I'll be right back. Going good.